In a move that has sent profound shockwaves across the global diplomatic landscape, a new chapter appears to be dawning in the complex and often fraught relationship between the world's two most populous nations. For generations, the narrative between India and China has been defined by a deep-seated strategic mistrust, a story written along a contested border and fueled by competing ambitions. This long history of friction is precisely what makes today's news so staggering. From their pivotal meeting on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Brasilia, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping, leaders of two countries long viewed as geopolitical rivals, have issued a joint statement that defies decades of strategic competition. The message was startlingly clear and unambiguous. India and China are partners, not rivals. This declaration seeks to overwrite a legacy of conflict. It comes after years of simmering tensions along the line of actual control, where soldiers have faced off in high-altitude standoffs. It follows a period of intense economic friction, marked by trade imbalances and technological rivalry. Geopolitically, the two Asian giants have been locked in a delicate dance for influence across South Asia and Africa. From disputed territories to the strategic chess game in the Indian Ocean, the default setting has always been competition. This represents a monumental pivot that few analysts saw coming. Foreign policy circles from Washington to Tokyo are scrambling to understand the calculus behind this rapprochement. Is it a shared response to shifting global alliances? A pragmatic recognition that their economic futures are inextricably linked? The sheer audacity of the statement has left seasoned diplomats speechless, forcing a complete reevaluation of long-held assumptions about Asia's geopolitical future. The world is now watching, holding its collective breath. The central question: is this merely a tactical pause, a temporary de-escalation to manage domestic pressures or wrong-foot other global powers? Or are we witnessing the genuine beginning of a transformative era for Asia and beyond? A true partnership could unlock unprecedented economic synergies and form a powerful new bloc on global issues like climate change. But the path is fraught with peril, and deep-rooted grievances will not disappear overnight. The stakes could not be higher. The announcement itself was a masterclass in coordinated public diplomacy, delivered simultaneously from New Delhi and Beijing. This synchronized message, broadcast on this last day of August 2025, was designed to signal that this is a deliberate and unified shift. At the very heart of this groundbreaking announcement is a fundamental recharacterization of the India-China relationship. For decades, the narrative has been one of rivalry, a geopolitical chess match played across the Himalayas. This joint statement, however, signals an audacious attempt to rewrite that script, moving from competition to convergence. Prime Minister Modi, in his address, emphasized a vision of shared prosperity, deliberately invoking a distant, more harmonious past. He reminded the world that for centuries, India and China were twin pillars of civilization, the world's leading economies driving trade along ancient routes. Their philosophies and sciences shaped human history. The time has come for us to reclaim that shared legacy, not as competitors in a zero-sum game, but as partners in building a prosperous and stable Asia. He spoke of moving beyond the shadow of suspicion, a direct reference to the deep-seated mistrust rooted in the 1962 war and recent border standoffs. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, this mistrust has fueled a regional arms race. The call is to look past these friction points and focus on the immense potential that collaboration holds in tackling shared challenges like climate change and technological disruption. This language marks a significant departure from the more cautious and often nationalistic tone that has characterized previous interactions. According to analysts, it signals a genuine political will to turn a new page. It's a strategic pivot away from a policy of mutual containment, where each nation sought to limit the other's influence, and a clear focus on mutual growth over mutual containment. President Xi Jinping echoed these sentiments with equal force, framing the partnership as a historical inevitability and a necessity for the modern world. He spoke of an Asian century that can only be realized when the Chinese dragon and the Indian elephant dance together. The official communiqué stated, "The world is large enough for both China and India to thrive." This isn't just diplomatic pleasantry. Our two nations represent 1/3 of humanity. Their collective decisions will not just shape Asia, but define the future of the planet. So here's the thing. The joint communiqué from Prime Minister Modi and President Xi's offices is way more than another diplomatic statement. It lays out several solid pillars for this new partnership. The first, a renewed commitment to resolving the border dispute through diplomatic channels, calls to speed up talks between the special representatives, proposals to set up new military-to-military communication hotlines at multiple levels. The aim, de-escalate tensions along the line of actual control, working towards complete disengagement, de-escalation, and ultimately a final, peaceful settlement of the boundary question, a goal elusive for decades. Now the second big pillar, launch of a strategic economic and technological dialogue, tackle India's concerns about the trade deficit, build a more balanced economic relationship, exploring synergies, Make in India push, and China's advanced manufacturing strengths, a shift toward collaborative supply chains instead of constant competition, joint R&D in artificial intelligence, renewable energy, space exploration, signals moving beyond buyer-seller to an integrated partnership, co-creating technologies of tomorrow. So you might be wondering, what's really behind this sudden turn toward partnership? This isn't happening in a vacuum. It's probably the result of a bunch of urgent strategic and economic calculations on both sides. For India, under Prime Minister Modi, this shift might come from a practical reassessment of its strategic environment. Even as India strengthens ties with the West, especially the United States through things like the Quad, New Delhi may have realized that always being at odds with its powerful northern neighbor just isn't sustainable. Trying to manage a tense border while chasing ambitious economic growth is, honestly, a tough balancing act. Easing tensions with China could free up crucial resources and attention, letting India zero in on domestic development and economic recovery after the pandemic. From China's side, President Xi is facing his own set of challenges, making a stable relationship with India look pretty appealing. Beijing's got its hands full with intense competition from the United States. Let's be clear, a genuine, functional partnership between China and India wouldn't just be a minor shift in international relations. It would be an absolutely game-changing seismic event, a fundamental reordering of the global power structure. We're talking about two civilizations that together account for nearly 3 billion people, more than a third of humanity. Their combined economic might and expanding technological sectors would create a new center of gravity, pulling the world's focus eastward. The effects would send shockwaves across Asia and the whole world. For the continent, it could finally unlock the full potential of what many have called the Asian century. This isn't just about GDP figures. It's about Asia becoming a hub for innovation, culture, and new ideas on global governance and economic integration. If these two giants start working together, we could see a big drop in regional tensions. The constant friction that has defined their relationship for over half a century could finally dissipate. The military standoff in the Himalayas, a dangerous and costly endeavor, could be de-escalated, especially in South Asia and around the Indian Ocean. This newfound stability would be a lifeline for smaller nations. Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh have long had to perform a delicate balancing act, navigating pressure between Chinese-led infrastructure projects and Indian security partnerships. They might finally get a shot at development without having to pick sides. The focus could shift from constant strategic competition to joint projects. Imagine trilateral infrastructure that connects South and East Asia, or joint investment funds for sustainable development. On climate, their combined leadership could be decisive. As two of the world's largest emitters, a joint commitment to green technology would have a far greater impact than their individual efforts, making the entire region more cooperative and resilient. But for the United States and its Western allies, this is a huge strategic curveball. For years, American foreign policy has been built on India acting as a democratic counterweight to China, with the Quad as its primary instrument. A Sino-Indian rapprochement would fundamentally challenge that assumption. It doesn't mean India will ditch its Western ties, but it is the ultimate expression of its commitment to strategic autonomy. New Delhi would be signaling that it will not be a junior partner in any coalition, but a major pole in a multipolar world, defining its own interests on its own terms. However, we must be realistic. The path to such a partnership is incredibly fragile. Decades of deep-seated mistrust, fueled by war and recurring border clashes, will not vanish overnight. Nationalistic sentiments on both sides are potent political forces that could easily derail diplomatic efforts. This isn't a fairy tale ending, it's the beginning of a long, arduous process. Building trust will require unprecedented transparency, consistent high-level diplomacy, and time for public perception to evolve beyond the rivalry narrative. So what do you believe is the biggest obstacle to a true Sino-Indian partnership? Is it the border dispute, economic competition, or historical baggage? And what is the greatest potential benefit? Comment below with your thoughts, like this video, and subscribe for more in-depth analysis. Thank you for watching.